Welcome to the stream recap. My stream happens every morning at market open on my main channel, Trades by Matt. So make sure you come hang out live every morning. It's free to watch. We're going to go and recap the trades I took today. Never really got a whole lot out of it, but we're going to recap those anyways. Please sit back and enjoy. Yo, good morning. Happy Tuesday. So we had a little bit of chop around VWAP. We dumped, we pumped up into overnight highs, and now we're dumping. We got overnight lows here. Markets are open. Hanging out the overnight lows. Value area high from yesterday's up at 450. We rejected 420 basically. Call it 420. Just barely swept the overnight lows. We got value area low from yesterday at 280. This is what the daily chart looks like. Interesting wick at 200. If we get down there. 50% retrace. Prior high. All interesting stuff there. VWAP at 370 looks interesting. Yesterday's point of control just above 400. Also interesting. But as of right now, it looks a little heavy. Everything's been a little heavy. News on the session: business inventories and housing at 9. Probably won't do too much. And then noon, we got 20-year bonds. I have no idea if that's gonna do anything. No clue. Nice slap coming in at 300. Yesterday's value area high 280s. Definitely an interesting spot for a little bounce off the open potentially. I don't know. I always wait the first 15 minutes. If you're new here, I always wait the first 15 minutes to trade just to let the market kind of shake out, force myself to be patient. If I can create the foundation of being patient right off the bat, usually that's a good thing for the rest of the session. A lot of trading is waiting around and not firing buttons, clicking buttons away, not firing off trades. A lot of trading is just waiting for something that you actually like, something that makes sense, and establishing direction, etc. Some people crush it right off the open. I just do not like doing that, so I don't. All right, there's 80 on the dot, 80 and a quarter. Hugging that -2 standard deviation. You'll see my tweet from yesterday. Shout out to Joel in the Discord for making the picture for me. I had a request that he came through with the I will not short all-time highs. One of the easiest and best trading rules I have: if we are actively making all-time highs, I do not short it, i.e. yesterday, right? Now today, everything's a little heavy. I'm not opposed to, you know, riding with a trend to the downside if it's very much established, but I still just don't really like it that much off of key levels at the highs. Now everything, if it's super heavy and it makes sense, I'll go with it. You know, even like rejecting the overnight lows here could potentially absolutely work. And that 200 level is also very interesting to me, but as a general standpoint, once we're actively making all-time highs, don't short it, right? 280 bottom of the day, could be. Yeah, it absolutely could be. I don't hate it as a low. I don't hate it at all as a low of the day. Bouncing off yesterday's value area low, magical 80s, not quite getting the full 200 pullback. Making a red to green rotation for yesterday's value area. Yesterday's value area low to yesterday's value area high, 450 into new highs. I mean, be clean, honestly. You ever get in a bad headspace after having a bad week or two? What do you do to reset, clean the mental per se? Honestly, it just comes down to like analyzation. Analyzation. I'm assuming that's a word. I don't know. Analyzing yourself. Are you, you know, am I exclusively taking like C graded setups or something, right? If I am, then return back to what works, right? And a lot of times that's challenging to do for some stupid reason. Our brains like to fight it. If I'm still taking A+ setups and it's just not working, then what about the conditions have changed, right? But yeah, I think analysis is the big key here. Most of the times, if you're in like a weird mental space, it just comes back to, I think it's usually short-term thinking, if that makes sense. Bad headspace is usually derived from, you know, a couple of days or a week or whatever. And if you've had success before that for longer than a couple days or a week, then it's like, okay, I clearly was doing something that was working. What am I doing now that's not working? How do I get back to what was working? And then kind of backstepping into that. I don't really know if that makes sense, but that's typically how I kind of get my emotional capital back, I guess. And what J-Trade said, yeah, absolutely. Just taking a base hit and getting green on the board. Sometimes just getting like a single green trade on the board and calling it a day to where you lock in a green day after a couple bad days is a really healthy thing to do, in my opinion. kind of resets the brain on like, okay, I've had a green day, I broke the streak or whatever. And it's like a small green day that you're like, okay, I forced myself to have a small green day and I didn't give back my gains. You know what I mean? Like, I'm locking in a green day. It might be small. That's okay. I'm not over here trying to make back all of the week in one single day, because we all know that never works. All of that type of stuff, I think is, I think that's very healthy as well for the mental. I also think the other thing that's pretty important to remember is that, like, at the end of the day, bad days and bad weeks happen. Even bad multi-weeks happen. Like, it's just part of it, in my opinion. Some people would probably disagree that, like, you should never really have a bad week or something. You should lock it in somehow. I just think that it's just part of trading. Even plus EV, right? Like, a true plus EV, you're going to have... Nothing goes straight up, right? So even if you're plus EV, you're still going to have dips even as you're going up, right? Just the way it works. So no equity curve is straight up. I think that's very important to remember. Equity curves are similar to a chart, right? It's peaks and troughs. And there are times of the year that I think are challenging to trade. I think there are times of the year that are easier to trade, just from my, you know, observation over the last years that I've been doing this. I think that there are times that I find easier and times that I find harder. I think summer trading is typically pretty hard for me. I really like Q1 and Q4 a lot of times. And whether that's self-fulfilling or not, I don't know. Probably is in some capacity. But I think that's really important to remember also. Of just like, you know, there are certain times where like volatility dies and it becomes hard to trade. There's certain times where volatility skyrockets and it becomes hard to trade. And you have to adapt, and you're going to have a couple bad days in those moments usually. So while you're figuring out the new norm. So from that open, we have a 10-point flush to point of control. This is that spot that I was talking about, 18. Being interesting off this wick and volume. But it looks like we flush it. Maybe 13. Could be an interesting spot. Might just send it though. It already bounced 10 points off it basically. All right, do we hold point of control? Do we slap back down into 97s, 95s? Got top of the hour here in 10 seconds. I'm gonna wait for the candle to close. I'm not gonna snap by that right before the 9 o'clock hour. Current lows at 79.5. I mean, it looks as of right now like we sweep it, but we'll see. Technically, getting into a cheap trade if you like the long side, you stop below lows, but I'm gonna wait on that. See how we react here, if we actually sweep it or not. I mean, it's acting aggressive. All right, new lows. Yeah, we're just gonna juice it back now. I was about to say, I think a retest, candle close retest the prior open 80s value or low. I think that would be interesting, but sweep of the lows, buying point of control, that ain't it. So I'm gonna take a quick stab long there off of 80 off the retest of that prior open. We can catch some legs. Looking back at point of control looks pretty solid. Gotta catch legs out. Rejecting kind of like a 1 minute order block, I guess you could call it. Probably get stopped out of new lows. Yeah, gonna get stopped out there. All right, 15 points down there. On to the next. Still heavy, huh? I thought with the bid that we'd catch a little bit more momentum. I think hindsight, having the stop probably off the prior lows was probably the right idea, but live and learn. We're 100 points off the highs currently. 100 point sell off the last, what, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, this is what I was wanting to see. I think I was a little early. Hindsight, buying the -2 is a lot better of a play, especially after we held it last time. But that's the play I was wanting to see. And here comes point of control. That's okay. On to the next. It's nice to see it play out. And I stand by the stop I had. I think it could have gotten nasty, right? Anytime you sweep lows, it can get nasty. So I stand by the stop I had, but that is the play I wanted to see right there. So far, we've been playing pretty nice with bottoming and topping candles. There's something to keep in mind. Local low was one. A current low of the day, I guess, was one. We had a nice one off VWAP as well. Doji at the highs here at 310. This will be a cheap trade if it works. Looking at a 50% of the wick. It's a very tight trade though. 4 points. Get stopped out there. I might call it here. I'm in a spot where I'm trying to keep it really tight, and I'm just not super enthused with that. I mean, in a perfect world, if I hadn't taken this trade, I'd have new lows on that trade. I like this long here, by the way. I mean, I like the long. I don't want to keep it loose enough required for that. I think I'm probably going to get out of here. It's a fast session, but if we're just going to melt all day, I don't really want to be a part of it. Another one might be another good snap long, but I'm going to call it here. Good luck, everybody. If I see something that's worth taking, I'll still take it as the day progresses, but I'm just going to, it's 2 losers in a row. Neither one saw the light of day, really. It's typically a good sign for me to bounce, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning for hump day. Be smart, be patient. Good luck. Peace.